Hello everyone, welcome to yet another tutorial. This should be a short video, I guess, so I don't know how long it will take, but it should be short. So basically today we're going to talk about how to write tests for a Motoko code and automate some of the tasks that may be recurring. So we're in the final week of the OIS hackathon, and most of you might have written some code that you'd write to run tests on or automate some of the tasks in your project. So this is what we're going to cover in today's video, and hope it will be helpful. So the first way to write a test for Motoko is actually to use there are different packages that are around that you can use. Some on Vessel, some on MOPS, but I usually like using test package here on MOPS. So it's a cool package that you can use to do try different kinds of tests for your Motoko code, but most of these are sort of unit tests. So to start or to begin, I'll just create a new project. Uh, Test tutorial. All right. I select Motoko as the backend. I don't want the front end. Canister, and then we initialize. Okay. Then audio test tutorial, not Motoko tutorial. All right. So test. Okay, so I'll open up the project in VS Code. And all right, so test tutorial, I'll just open up two projects. No, don't save. Okay, so this is the test tutorial. I make the full screen. So now that we have a project, the first thing is actually to initialize MOPS in our project. I want to use MOPS, that's the option I'm going to use, and then I click in now, and everything will be set up. All right, we'll give it a few seconds, and great, I think it's done. So if I clear the screen, and all right, so we've added a new mops.yml file and also this .mops folder. So to add our package, we will actually come and copy this and paste it here. So mops add test. You could actually you can add it as an element or as a dev dependency. So if you want to add it as a dev dependency, you just do this, and then it will also be added. So I think I can even delete this. All right, so it has been added as a dev dependency. So the first thing is actually the prerequisite of using this package is you must have a test folder, and then all your test files must end in .test.mo file format. So now we have to create our test folder right here, test, and then inside we can actually create a new file, main.test.mo. So right, so let me see. Does that make sense? So if we just run this to see whether it's working, oops, test, there is no tests folder, so I wrote, now you see we have to rename this, and once we run this again, okay, so MOPS, all right, I think I put this in the wrong folder, and I think now it should work. All right, so we have our test folder configured well. So going back to the website, you'll see that it can be used to write simple tests. And what these are the simple tests that we're talking about. So to use simple tests, you could actually you need to use actually the package. You just have to import it and then write your test. So I will import that. um I delete this, import test, Motoko test, and then just have to write a simple test. I think even if I just copy this, it's no issue. All right, so this is how you actually write. This is a simple tests from test package. All right, so we've imported the test from the package, and then you just have to write your test in this format. So these are simple tests as they have defined them. So if I run MOPS tests, I should actually get this thing consoled in my terminal, which is right here. So as you can see, our test has passed. So we could actually maybe say 1 is equal to 2, which would be false, and actually the test should fail. And so the test failed, and they have actually showed you where it failed from, like the exact line. And so if you were debugging or writing tests for your code, you'd actually know where the issue is. So I will just delete this, and yeah, we again run to make sure everything is okay. So it's running well. So these are the simple tests that they are talking about. You could actually replicate this, and simple. This is another simple test. So if I run, you'll see that everything is working well. So this is actually, you specify the the text that will be consoled in the terminal, and then you write a function that you want to test out. Like, that's the format. So that's the one kind of test that you can write. So the other one, they are called, we have simple test, test use, and then skip test. The one that I want to talk about first is asynchronous tests. So these are tests, that involve waiting functions. Waiting, that means you're fetching data from external, like source. It could be another kind of site, could be anything, but this takes some time to return a result. And so you can also write this for that, and the way it's a little bit different. So okay, so what we have to do is actually, instead of importing test from let me see, we were importing test from test, we have to import a test async. That's the major difference. So okay, I will just copy this, and okay, paste this here. I first remove this, and the way we do that, see that the format is actually right here. All right, so so that is the format, right? So what we have to do is actually, we don't have this function, we can make one. So I will just come to my main.mo, change this to a module, let's say, and load asynchronous. Okay, put this here. All right, so I would paste this. Okay. All right, so I just want to return a nut. So as return maybe 5. So this way we can actually come and import our load async. I think we have to go then make that makes sense. All right, so this we don't want. Okay, then rest is equal to 5. So if we test out our code, it should work. So the difference between the first test that we did is that for them they were they were not asynchronous, but for this one the test actually first loads a value from another file, which is the main.mo. If I put a 6, you will see that actually it fails, and then it will show you where it has failed. So you could do this for any asynchronous functions that you have in your code, and yeah, things are awesome. This is how you write the asynchronous test for your code. All right, so we have another the third type of tests that you can write. And all right, so these are called not it's not a type of test, but it's a format. So these are called they test suites. Okay, so yeah, they're saying use suites to group your tests, and the way we do that, actually you can use suites to group simple tests or asynchronous tests as they were doing here. So how is this helpful? Let's say you're writing you have your code that, let's say it's a back end or a project that has customers and maybe not customers. Let's say you're writing like a hospital management application that has patients, then doctors, then maybe nurses, maybe medicine or drugs. So like functions on these different things. So what you could do is actually, let me see, you could actually suit like group your tests under this, like these different kinds of or groups of data, and the patients and the doctors and the nurses and the drugs. So the way you could do that is let me first comment or delete. Let me delete this. So the way you do that is actually since these will be asynchronous functions, we would use asynchronous test suite. So still we import the test suite, and then I'll just actually import everything right here. Just copy this and paste it. All right, so the way we do that, right, so let's import. Okay, put this again. Then I don't need, anyway, just also import this, so as I get rid of the error. All right, so I also delete this assert 5. So the way that we do this is actually, so writing suites, as I was saying, you can group your tests according to the different parameters or the different data that you have. So like for example, now from our previous example, if we have patients, I can actually group this as patients. So meaning that all the tests inside this, I will write all the tests about patients, like the functionality of patients in this test suite. So maybe I could write one function that says fetch patient. All right. Then another test would be maybe add new patient, like different stuff. So maybe update patient. I don't know. Update patient records. So that could, I know. So delete this, and then once I'm done with all the tests about the patient functionality, I can now write the tests about maybe doctors. Get that? Doctors. So maybe fetch doctor individual, maybe b dom doctor information. Okay, then add new doctor details, maybe delete doctor details. So you can do this over and over depending on the different uh, kinds of data that you have. And then once you're done, if you come to run these tests, you will see where the difference is. MOPS test. All right, most of them are failed, and suppose we have a 6 here, so I'll just change this to 5. Okay, 5. All right, so if I save again and run, you will see that we have some new format. Okay, so here is what suits now helped us to do. We have grouped the patient tests under the patients, and then we can see that hypothetically the fetch patient test passed, the add new patient test passed, and then like all the tests under patients have passed. Then we also came under doctors. We see all the tests under the doctors have also passed. So if we under doctors, if we actually make one test to fail, maybe we put a 4 and we run again, you will see actually another difference. So still all our patient tests have passed, but then only 2 out of 3 of the doctor tests have passed, and it shows you which a test didn't pass and where exactly the error was. So that's how actually you can write your test suites and group your tests according to the different parameters that you can think of. So basically that is it about the first method. And so the second method that we actually can use is using bash. So bash, I've been using bash commands for a while, and they help me usually. Let's say I want to add data consistently in a file. Like, okay, so we have an example here. We can actually let's say actor class actor, whichever. Then we have, let's say, a function public public what public func add new data. Maybe you can put text return text. So return n. So if we deploy this, hopefully I have my canister defined. So I need to first check this be short lists backend, and I need to start the Okay, so dfx deploy. So if we deploy our backend, and then this is like a test example on how okay, on how you can use bash. So we have our let me see. Okay, I think this example does not make clear sense. So what we can do is actually uh, do maybe data store is equal to hashmap of it's a text, then 0 dot equal text dot hash. I'm not sure of that. So assuming that you have a scenario whereby you want to add data consistently in this store and then fetch data in this store, so meaning here we have to get actually okay, so get all data sync text. Hopefully, how does it return? I'm not sure. So return data dot to array data store dot values. I think that makes sense. So return it where is it? We bought that. Then we have okay, we have text. Yeah, get that. So assuming now that you have a scenario whereby, let's say you're building the front end and then you want to use data from the back end, maybe to display data from the back end, maybe on your page, and in this scenario, if we were to use I think I don't need to delete this. If we are to use data store dot put test and text. Just lazy to write not this, no, and then text. So if I again deploy, this time my example is valid. Okay, and then just open this up, and my terminal somehow has an issue. 0.0.1. So basically, if we try to query the data, it's not there. Then if we put a 1, we try to, it has been added. Now we have text. I don't know, whichever thing that has returned. But what I want to talk about is suppose the scenario whereby you want to use this data to like we want to display this data on the front end, like you're calling this function from the front end. You want to get that data that it returns and then display it on the front end. It means that for you to get a good number of returns, you have to manually come and add maybe different data manually here. You keep adding So bash actually allows you to you can write a bash script that allows you to automate this whole process, the process of you know, adding data in the canister, automatically deploying the data, and you know, this helps you to some extent. So what we can do is go back to our code, and then I'll just clear this. And okay. So we will need to create a new function, or rather a new file. Let's say deploy.sh for bash, and then I think let me see. So right now we have an empty file. Then I'll just have to this /bin /bash. I don't know what this does, but I know it works. So so the first thing is actually the first task that we can automate is actually deploying the backend canister itself, right? So before that, we could actually make sure that the replica is running well. So, and then you know, bash has different things that you can do with it. So maybe starting the replica, and once the replica is on, we can actually deploy the canister, the back end canister. So fx deploy backend, with that. So once actually the backend is deployed, we could actually add data in the same file. So we could actually echo this, adding data, then we say dfx deploy backend, no, dfx canister. Okay, so I hope that's my function and new data. Yeah, then here we could actually get all the data, which I think it may not be necessarily helpful in our case, but we could actually add all the necessary data that we want from this file. So let's say maybe I want to add multiple data. I can either do this multiple times. Let's say hello, hi, whichever data that I might want, or I could actually use a follow, but this actually is helpful in that now you're adding all the multiple data points that you need, and once this data has been added, you can actually fetch it from the front end without actually having to manually come on this text and adding it. So all right, so this is a simple example. So to run that, you can actually come and do deploy.sh, and you see that permission is denied, so meaning I have to do this command, and then if I run it again, you see that now it has automated all the tasks that you want. It's creating the backend canister, it has created it, it's adding new data, it's adding this one, and then it has added the other data. So if we check in the back end, we should actually get all the data, though we had written our code poorly. So I think I can actually this is so Anyway, so if we run our file, we should, it has created the backend canister automatically. It has deployed it. It's adding the new data, and once it is done, clicking on this button we should have our data right here. So this helps you actually to not come on this button and then you add one data at a time, one like input at a time. And I've used just a simple example, but this method is helpful in scenarios. Let's say, first of all, in scenarios where you want to deploy more than one canister at a time. I'm only deploying this, the backend, which is a simple canister, but you could actually want to deploy multiple canisters. Let's say you have a token ledger canister. You can, write your deployment script right here, or you want to add data to a canister, but then that data is a bit complex. Let's say you want to add, let's say, name, username, password, email. Coming on this button and then saying name, then username, password, it's a bit cumbersome. So if you can automate that task, then it would be awesome. So I think that makes sense. And this also, bash is helpful, let's say, when you want to actually run tests that involve usually like identities. So in the bash, you can actually switch identities. If you see here, if I write dfx identity, use maybe default, get that dfx identity, use default, and I will just come here and say, let's say we want to console the we want to first console the current identity, which is equal to this. I don't know, maybe I'll put this, I'll put my auto part. All right, so identity get principal. Does that make sense? Cool. So I can just actually now write echo. Okay, so just put this and then I will run. So you see that on top of running all the previous commands, it will actually now still run this different I don't know what has happened. dfx identity get principal current identity. What should it be? Anyways, I think I was missing out this. Okay, so if we run, if I comment this out, and then rerun again, see why I was making the mistake from. Okay, so I uncomment this. So basically, sorry for that. I was wondering where I was making a mistake from. So we have consoled the current identity, the principal address of the current identity. So we could actually switch the identity right here from the terminal, and then still, um, you know, console the new identity. So, all right, if we run again, okay, creating canisters, adding the new data, and we should actually get two different identities which are not similar. So this and this, that is the new identity that actually is that has been switched. So the first identity was this, and then the new identity is now this. So I hope that makes sense. So this is how you can actually, I've just used a simple example, for the sake of time, but you could actually, I usually use this to in scenarios where maybe I want to call a function from the backend canister, but then that function requires to use a non-anonymous principal address, or it requires the identity to have, rather the principal address to have some tokens, let's say from a certain ledger canister. So you can write this, to transfer, deploy the token canister, transfer those tokens to your identity, and then you call that file that require the function in the backend that requires you to have um, like tokens, token balance. So this marks the end of this video. I hope you can find it helpful, and yeah, let's meet in the next video.